For a great cup of joe, there's one thing you should know. Your morning brew can also be playful. Buff Boy Brewing guys make the temperature rise. And you surely feel naughty when you swallow our coffee. If you want some real heat, give your mouth a fine treat. You will want some more, rest assured. Buff Boy Brewing, you can't get enough of.
It's time for The Scribble, your weekly fix of celebrity chats, bizarre stories in the news, and basic random chatter with best-selling author and syndicated radio host Jeremy Bradley. Make sure your seat is in the upright and locked position and your barf bag is securely in place. Here's Jeremy Bradley.
Thank you very much, Larson. Jeremy Bradley here. This is The Scribble. Thanks for tuning in on your favorite podcast app. It's Friday, and that always... It gives a lot of people a sigh of relief, doesn't it? And I think I mentioned on the show either a week or two ago that I was listening to a Bill Maher podcast, and he was talking about how Hump Day, Wednesday, is usually kind of like this big sigh of relief day, right? Where it's like, only a couple more days till the weekend. Now we're talking about, of course, people who are in school Monday to Friday or work Monday to Friday, right? If you work weekends, well, then your weekend is different. But the concept of weekend being Saturday, Sunday. And so Wednesday is sort of like this, only 2 more days to get through and, then it's the weekend. And he's like, that's just a very weird thing here in North American society where, Friday is kind of like just this big relief where it's like, finally 2 days off. And that's a symptom of people, not liking their job, hating going to school, whatever it might be. But it's just a fascinating observation because I hadn't realized it. I always just thought Wednesday people said was hump day because it was just kind of like, well, it's midweek and that's that. I never viewed it as people going and saying, only halfway through the week, only 2 more days to schlep through before I can go and enjoy myself. Until he said that, I'm 40 years old. Until Bill Maher, I heard him say that. I never thought of it that way. Now, I've always thought that people on Fridays, I get that, because I've felt that way at a job, right? But I've never felt that way about a Wednesday. It was just always very strange to me, because I was like, well, if you know how long Monday and Tuesday were, well, there's nothing to say that Thursday, Friday aren't going to be just as long, right? So that's where I never made that connection with Wednesday. Now, of course, Friday, right, you come into Friday morning at the office, it's casual, you're wearing your jeans, you're being lazy, you're easing into the day, you're maybe ducking out early to start the weekend, but... Friday is just this relief. It's this weight off your shoulders. It's like, now I can enjoy myself. Well, really, and this is a whole other discussion. Well, then get a job that you enjoy, that you don't have to count down the minutes until it's the weekend. Somebody like my dad, who, when he was working, he worked for 30 years at the same place, was literally watching the clock and he would actually be standing there waiting at 4:28, 4:29, to be out the door right at 4:30. Like that was just, and when I say literally watching the clock, I'm saying like has his jacket on and is ready to walk out the door at not staying 1 minute, not even staying 1 minute late. That was the job that my dad had. And now, I'm kind of like, well, I can come in here and just, talk for a living and interview celebrities and have an opinion and get paid for it. Why? So for me, Friday's not a relief. I don't generally work Fridays anyway. I know that you're listening to this on Friday, so there we go. I'm just outing myself right now that we're not right now live, but I'm just kind of like, I don't know. So for a lot of weeks when we tape shows, Thursday is the last day of the week for us. But again, I'm not sitting there going, yes, it's Thursday, because I like what I do. So, it's not a problem for me. But we're going to talk about observations of people. Are you a people watcher? Are you a people observer? Do you like watching, you overhear a couple at the table next to you at the restaurant, having a bit of a fight or disagreement? Do you just perk your ear up a little bit to listen to what's going on over there? If you're dining with somebody, do you kind of shush them? Do you guys listen together and listen to the drama, at table 4 beside you? Do you do that? Or is that just too gross? Well, we got 30 minutes to talk about it on the Scribble this week, and it starts right after this.
This statement has not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. No offense, but are you a little fat when you look in the mirror? How would you like to learn the secret to losing 3 to 5 pounds a week without joining the gym or going through any crazy diets? It's called Body Sculpt RX. For the last 2 decades, we've helped countless people lose thousands of pounds. And now, it's your turn. Learn how to lose weight with one simple phone call and no prescription needed. You'll see an amazing difference in a matter of days. Don't believe us? We'll offer you a risk-free money-back guarantee. So, if you're ready to start losing weight, call right now and get a free month's supply with your first order of Body Sculpt RX. Call now. You have nothing to lose but the pounds. 800-459-6838. 800-459-6838. 800-459-6838. That's 800-459-6838.
Jeremy Bradley here, back on the Scribble. Are you a people watcher? Now, I don't mean scrolling through your phone and watching what people are doing every second of the day on social media. I'm saying, are you a people watcher? One of the great things about working in retail, now I haven't worked in retail in probably 20-some years, but one of the great things about working in retail was just watching people. And I worked at Bentley selling luggage when I was probably about 20 or 21, so about 20 years ago. And we had this like shoebox of a store where what I mean by that is that it was very rectangular. So it was a long store, like it went far back, but it wasn't a wide store. So we really just had two kind of like small aisles. We had, suitcases on one wall, suitcases on the other, and then these little displays in the middle. But other than that, I mean, there was no coming in that store with, a big shopping cart or one of those double wide strollers. Like it was a very, very small store. So for us, me and whoever I was working with that day, I had the morning shift. We would basically, it was so boring. We would basically just stand there, and we only had a very short glimpse of people when they would walk by, right? So think about when you're kind of standing there, you're looking out because it's like a dog in the window, right? You just watch everybody going by. And so we would stand there, we would be talking, we'd maybe listen to the radio, whatever it was. And we would start to do silly things like, okay, next guy from the left is, and then we would just make up some kind of story. Or you're sleeping with the next person that comes by on the right. And you're going for lunch or you're having drinks with the person who's coming through on the left. Like, that's how numb we ended up being after hours of just kind of standing there. And what's really funny, though, about something like that is you would think that you would want something to do, that you'd find something to do. A customer coming in would be you'd be fighting each other to help that customer because it's going to break up the monotony of not doing anything. But it was the exact opposite, where it's like, oh, you go help the next person. I just don't even want to. And I think that's why I didn't last there very long. But it was fascinating to be a people watcher. That's where I'm going with this. And we would and even just people coming in the store, we would go to the food court and it's funny to just watch people. So the other day I had lunch by myself. I don't normally go to a restaurant by myself, but my husband was out of town, and then the staff here, I hadn't come into work yet, so I was on my own. And it was a fast food restaurant, and there was a table. Do you know that there's often just that one table where you can hear the people laughing? So because I'm by myself, I don't have anybody to talk to. I'm not addicted to my phone, so it's not like I was sitting. But I was kind of just listening because there's a loud talker over there, and you hear like every word that he's saying. So I was a people watcher / listener watching and listening to people watchers and listeners. Here's what I mean by that. So I'm at, let me just sort of explain this. There's a bunch of tables, but let's just say there's table 1, table 2, table 3. They're all in a row. Okay. I'm sitting at table 3, so I'm on the end. Well, at table 1, right? So 2 tables away from me, there's these 2 like older guys, and I would say that they're probably at least in their 60s, if not, yeah, they're in their 60s. There was something just a little bit different about them. I don't know exactly, but it was just kind of weird because you can hear them talking. And so I guess one of them was having a fight with somebody by text. And it was very juvenile, the way that they were talking, where it's like, oh, well, he says he doesn't want to be my friend anymore, and then we're not going to go for coffee. So I don't know if these are just like, the old people who hang out at a mall and just they just sit at that table at the food court for 5 hours having coffee and it's like a social thing, right? That's just a social club where you just sit and bitch about things. So I don't know if these 2 guys just do that. We're at this fast food restaurant. They were there before I came in. They were there after I left. So they were there for a substantial time. And it's just interesting because he's like, I'm too old to fight with people, but, oh, well, just text him and tell him that. All right, well, I'll just say I don't know why you're mad at me, and if you don't want to be my friend anymore, that's fine. Okay, I'll send that then. And then they're talking. He's like, oh, it's just, it's not worth it to like fight and be somebody's friend like that. It's just not worth it. Did he write back yet? What did he say? Did he say? Because it's just, it's not like he doesn't want to go for coffee with me anymore. And I'm just kind of like, okay. So I'm listening to table 1. Then table 2, there's a man and woman there, and I can hear her talking about what they're talking about at table 1. So I hear her going and saying, yeah, he doesn't want to be friends anymore. Well, then just don't be his friend then. Like, and I'm sitting here going, oh my God, I am people watching, listening to, I'm people watching the people watchers. And it was just hilarious because I'm thinking I should go to table 2 to the man and woman and start talking with them about table 1. Because here we are, like, we're both in it. Now, again, I'm by myself, so I've got nobody to talk to, but I'm listening to the people bitching, or people talking about the people talking. And it was so entertaining. So I'm sitting here going, this is really fun. So you've got these 60-year-old guys who are having, like, a text fight, and it's like, well, I don't want to be your friend anymore. And then you've got this couple who's listening to that as well. And I almost wanted to say sometimes to the woman, I'm like, shut up, I can't hear table 1. Wouldn't that have been funny, though, if I went and picked up my stuff and just kind of pushed the table closer so I could listen? But that's, it was fun to me to be kind of out amongst the people, listening to, to hearing one conversation and then hearing a conversation about the conversation. That's how I get my kicks in life, by the way, just so I can be clear on that. I'm eavesdropping and I'm talking about them on the air. That's how I roll. But are you a people watcher? Like, are you fascinated by just seeing what people do and how they act? That was, like I said, when I worked customer service and I had that front-facing job. Now I do radio, right? So I don't see people. I don't get to watch that visually. But even just in meetings, it's just kind of funny because you know that everybody has their little traits, right? Their little quirks that they have. When we have a meeting here, Bonnie Winters, our producer, I go into her office, she's got a red pen and a blue pen in front of her all the time. And they've got to be positioned in front of her monitor just so. So when she leaves, when she goes on vacation or whatever it is, I am notorious for going into her office and just screwing around with it. I will move everything to the exact opposite side. I do everything because she's a bit neurotic like that. Now, so am I. So I'm not saying that that's a wrong thing to be or to do. I'm very much like that. But it's just kind of funny when you see people, in a meeting, that, okay, this person always taps their pen or this person always does these things. And I want to bring it up to people, but then I just kind of feel like you're targeting them, where it's like you're just watching them and you're noticing it, and now they're going to be self-conscious, they're not going to do it, they're going to be uncomfortable, and that is often what I do here. But if it's people that I don't know very well, I don't do it. Maybe no, I wouldn't. I'm not one of those people. It reminds me of like Sophia Petrillo from Golden Girls, where I had that fear when I was a very young kid with my dad's side of the family because they're all very outspoken. And they didn't have that filter, that censor. So I would always kind of feel like I didn't want to be noticed because they would then say things that would either embarrass me or make me feel sad or whatever. But Sophia Petrillo always had that, right? She didn't have that filter. She would just say whatever. So you would know that she's going to have that observation and you're going to hear it. If you come in and you know that you're wearing a bad shirt, if you know that you're wearing a god-awful ugly shirt, she's going to say something like that, right? My parents are like that. I just know that if I don't know, what do I do? If I were to just come in wearing ugly pants or something, I know that that's going to get a comment from them. So tell me if you're are you an observer and are you an observer who vocalizes? Maybe that's the best way of putting it. Do you do that? Or just even tell me about your people watching. What's like the funniest thing that you just kind of watch? I love overhearing a couple fighting or having a disagreement at a table. I enjoy that. I also enjoy... I can't stand kids. I've said that on the show many times. So when there's obnoxious kids, I like seeing the kid fuck around at the table. So it happened one time at a restaurant. Or no, was it maybe? Yeah, it was a restaurant where the kid is not sitting properly on the chair. And the mom goes and says, okay, you're going to fall, or you're going to fall off the chair. Just sit normally. And the kid doesn't do it. Well, as a parent, my parents would have like physically sat us down. Don't move your ass. That's where you're sitting. Knock it off. But parents these days, we know parenting is very, very different. I'm sitting here because I'm an asshole. I'm sitting here going, I want to watch the kid fall and get hurt because here's the thing. He's been warned or she's been warned. Your parent who is looking out for you and has your best interest and wants you to stay safe, doesn't want you injured, is telling you don't do it because you're going to get hurt. I'm sorry. I want to see them get hurt now. That's just the way it is. I'm an asshole. I'm whatever. I want to see it. I want to see you fall off the chair. I want to see you crack your head on the table. Yep. JB's an asshole. But here's the deal. Listen to your parents. So I just won over the parents by saying that. See, I'm not a parent, right? But that's where people go, like, you're not a parent, you wouldn't understand. I fucking hate that line, everybody. I hate it. I don't have to be a parent to understand, because I think that us non-parents are the ones who make the best observations and can give the best advice, really. I don't know what it's like to have a kid fidgeting and whatever, but I can go and say, look, you're being an idiot. Stop it, or we're going home right now, or we're never coming here again. And that's something back to when I worked retail. I would just hate that. Like the kids coming in and touching everything and moving. Don't touch my shit. Don't touch it. And why isn't the parent saying that? Because again, we would know that as a kid, where if we went to the toy store, whatever it was, and we didn't put something back where we got it from, or we were touching everything, you don't see with your hands. How many times were you told that as a kid? I'm talking to my generation now. You look with your eyes, not your hands. That's what we were told all the time. And so when we did, right, there would be trouble. That wouldn't be acceptable. And so, yes, I'm a people watcher where if I see the obnoxious kid who's just going, not listen, I've heard you get the warning to stop. I've heard you be told not to do it anymore, but you're still doing it. Good. I want to watch this play out. And I'm the same way with my dogs. One more quick story before we got to go, because we have a rabbit at home and two very hyperactive, energetic dogs. I know, and they all get along, but the rabbit's almost, I guess, 7, he's almost about 7 years old now. Rabbits have a way of telling the dogs, leave me the fuck alone. They will thump their feet, and so when the dogs get too excited and they get too close, or they'll stick their head in the cage, because our rabbit is out in the living room, he's got his own little sort of corner. But I will sit there on the couch, and the dogs will go over and try to nudge him, or he'll thump his feet when they get too close. And I know that the dogs are either going to get a kick to the head, because he'll do sort of like this. He'll do like a kind of a jump in a circle. And how do they not know after all this time? I know that he's kind of motioning where he's about to jump and with his back legs, hoof them in the nose or hoof them in the face. And I'm waiting for it, because they know he is saying, leave me alone. He is saying, piss off. Get your nose out of my cage, because we'll give him, a carrot or potatoes or whatever it is. And boom, there comes the dog shoving his head in the cage. You know that, okay, I want to watch this play out. Because you know that he's going to tell you to piss off. You know the rabbit's going to kick your ass. You are much bigger than him, but the rabbit's going to kick your ass. And sure enough, the dog, will come over then. And one time we had it where, the dog has this gash in his nose and he's bleeding and looking for sympathy. I was in my office at home, and I heard kind of like, whatever, rustling or whatever in the living room. And all of a sudden the dog comes in my office, and I look, and here he's got a gash on his nose. And I'm like, I know what happened, and you're not going to come in and tell on the rabbit because, look what he did. I don't know if he bit or scratched or what he did, but the dog was bleeding. And it's like, well, you know that you're not supposed to, so deal with it. It's not my problem. And so, yeah, same thing with a kid. It's like your parent is telling you you're going to get. It's one thing to just say to the kid, stop doing it. Stop. Tell them why to stop doing it. Tell them why. You're going to get hurt. You're going to fall off the chair. You're going to, and if you don't, then that's on your kid then. Now, I realize that it's going to be the parent's responsibility if the kid cracks their head and they've got to go to the hospital and whatever, but at least kid will learn the lesson. Kid might not do it again. Kid might not have a good memory if they've cracked their head after that, but nevertheless. So anyway, send me your people observing stories live at jbonair.com.
Listen up, guys. Are you experiencing any of the following? Fatigue, less drive, poor performance? If so, you may be one of the nearly 30 million men in the U.S. today dealing with ED. But did you know you don't have to pay hundreds for a prescription anymore? And you don't have to deal with the hassle of seeing the doctor or the embarrassment of going to the pharmacy for a certain pill. Now with one free call, you can find out how Herbal Virility Max can help you feel like a man again. For over a decade, Herbal Virility Max has helped guys just like you put a smile back on their face with improved performance and drive. Call today and ask about our buy one, get one free offer. Save the money, save the hassles, and get the better blue pill. Dial 800-578-0179. That's 800-578-0179. 800-578-0179.
This statement has not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Are you in bad pain? You know what I mean. Your knees hurt, your shoulder hurts, and your back. Oh my God, your back. They're constantly killing you. And I'm sure you've tried every pain pill or cream available at the drugstore. Am I right? Well, here is something you haven't tried. Pain Absolve. Pain Absolve is not available in any drugstore. The only way to get it is by calling today. We're so confident that it will work for you that we offer a free bottle with your purchase, no prescription needed, and best of all, each purchase comes with a money-back guarantee. Call now to find out how you can get Pain Absolve and get rid of your pain. Call 800-319-0582. That's 800-319-0582. 800-319-0582. Call today, 800-319-0582.
Isn't it crazy that you wait for payday, but before you know it, you're strapped for cash again? It's time to stop blowing your money and become a smart spender with the book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com. Learn simple ways to cut costs at home every day and during special times of the year. Don't go broke at Christmas. Don't remortgage the house for a fancy vacation. The book is filled with tips to save you money throughout the year. Check out the best-selling book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com or on Amazon and iTunes.
JB, back on the Scribble, just going back onto that people watching thing and the animals getting injured, that was something that I was watching a couple days ago on YouTube. I think we all have those moments where we go to YouTube, we watch the one video that we want to watch. Of course, we've got to sit through that 30 seconds or minute of commercials just to bring up the video. Remember back in the day when you could just click play and you would see what you were wanting to watch? And so there was a clip that I was looking up on YouTube. I found the clip. But then, you know, those related videos, or because they're very smart at knowing what else you'd want to watch. So I did have some time to kill because I was in the bathtub and I was on my phone there. I'd finished up my emails, did my work, and that's always my zone to kind of regroup. And so I watched the clip that I wanted to watch. And then there were just other related videos. So there was one, and again, I had now watched at this point probably about 4 or 5 different videos. So now it's showing me more of a variety, right? So if you're watching, let's say, whatever, news bloopers, or you're watching, whatever, then it's going to show you, related ones. And then after about 4 or 5 clips or videos, now it's showing you, if you listen to music videos or something on YouTube, like now it's kind of starting to mix up your search. And so back on the people watching thing, and my dog's getting injured by the rabbit, there was a bunch of videos that I saw of porcupines, and they were being, I guess, pursued by, like a not a lion, maybe like a tiger, just other animals out in the wild. I would say, I think they were in Africa. I would presume that's where your lions and your jaguars or whatever are. And you always think that, okay, the porcupine is the little guy, and they've got the quills, right? You know that they're going to end up spiking or I guess essentially stabbing the animal. And I didn't realize exactly what they do. And so I'm watching these clips, and you always, I don't like watching animals fighting and then getting killed. Like I don't like watching an alligator pursuing a bird and then just, killing it. Not those videos. But there's this where you're rooting for the porcupine when you see this, because you're just kind of like, okay, this is a porcupine with giant ass spikes, like big spikes. Quills, I know. Every time I say spike, they're in my ear, they're going quill. I'm calling them spikes. Deal with it. And it's funny because it's like, here's this big animal with these huge paws that are trying to like kill this defenseless little porcupine. Well, he's not defenseless because he's got his spikes. And in the video, right, you're always kind of wondering, well, is the big cat gonna like eat this thing and kill it or what? And then you see the cat running away with this giant spike in his face because the porcupine is kind of bouncing around and always sticking his ass out, right? Because the quills and everything are on the back, and the face is largely unprotected, but he's sensing the movements of this big cat who's trying to kill him or get him, and then you see the aftershots of these like spikes sticking out of the tiger, whatever animal it was, and again, you just, it goes back to that whole, like, you think you're going to learn, buddy, seriously, like, you're getting stabbed in the face. Is it worth it? Is it worth it in the end? And it's just, again, you're kind of like, this is a very stupid cat thinking, and maybe he was starving, so he's desperate or whatever. I don't know, right? But you just want to watch that play out. Like, I want to see this cat getting injured now after all this. Like, this is why I'm circling back around to this, because it made me wonder during the break, are we just that kind of a society now where, like, we want to see the asshole get hurt or have that trouble and that be in that predicament? Is that where we've come, or have we always been that way? Because when you think about it, shows like America's Funniest Home Videos, the guy getting hit in the nuts, or the people who are, trying to be these, like, daredevil tricksters, you want to see them face plant when they're riding their bike and doing a big jump off a ramp. Like, that's the whole. So we've always found stuff like that funny. So what is it? Why do we find it funny? We're laughing at other people's misfortunes, but is it because they're an idiot? Is that why? Do I like, as in that segment, the last segment, do I like seeing the kid get hurt because they've been told, they've been warned? Is that what it is? I like seeing my dogs get injured by the rabbit because they should know after all these years, don't fuck with the rabbit. Is it funny to watch the big cat get spiked in the face by a porcupine? Because he should learn, it's a 2.5 minute video and he's not giving up because he just keeps, going after this thing. Is that what it is? You want to see this cat with spikes in his face because he's stupid? Is that what it is? I don't know. Tell me, send me an email, live@jbonair.com, live@jbonair.com. It's actually funny because I on this show, I have Post-it notes in front of me. I don't write it on a screen, and I don't have a big full-ass, sheet of paper. I have Post-its, and it just says rabbit kicking dog's ass, and then I've got porcupine/tiger. Those were my notes for this one. And then I also had listening people at restaurant, and that's all I've talked about today. Okay, so we're taping another show right after this. That's where I've got a whole bunch of notes in front of me. But there's I would say, hold on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 Post-its in front of me, just because I will have an idea about something to talk about, and I'll write it down, and I don't want to forget it, and then I'll put it in front of me. So there are actually some of them here, by the way, that are, Post-its are traditionally they're yellow. Some of these are very faded because I wrote these a long time ago. I've just never talked about what I was wanting to talk about. So I will get to those eventually in the weeks to come. So there we go. Anyway, let's do another break. I'm back on the Scribble right after this.
Ever had something to get off your chest but never had the balls to say it? That's a load of crap. Speak Free with JB.com is exactly what you've been waiting for. Your chance to tell it like it is and not care what anybody else thinks. Have your say on issues of the day. Join newspaper and radio columnist Jeremy Bradley as he tells it like it is. Hundreds of thousands of people have stopped by, including some well-known celebrities who have had a chat with JB and speak candidly about what's really going on in the world. You can join them too. Have a rant or a rave. Be brave and head on over to www.speakfreewithjb.com now.
We hear you chirping. Get scribbling. Tweet up the Scribble at The Scribble Show. Join the discussion with Jeremy Bradley. It's all going down right now on Twitter at The Scribble Show and at thescribbleshow.com.
Jeremy Bradley here, back on the Scribble. So this is episode 419 of our show, okay? And next week, that would make the show 420. And I don't know that we normally do a preview of what's coming up next week, but I'm going to do that right now because I had Tommy Chong on the radio with me. You know, Cheech and Chong. Tommy Chong was on the radio with me many years ago, and we were talking about marijuana. It was just recently, at that time, it was just recently legalized in Canada. We're both Canadians. And we had the discussion, and I revealed to him that I had never tried marijuana. Marijuana, pot, cannabis, whatever you want to call it. Cannabis was legalized in Canada. Thank you. They're correcting me in my ear. And so Tommy was surprised that I had never tried it before. And he was coming to my hometown of Winnipeg. Him, Cheech and Chong were doing their show in Winnipeg. And I ended up going there. I was invited to the show. I met with them, you know, backstage or whatever. And I went with my cousin because my cousin is this big fan of theirs. And my cousin said, wouldn't that be cool if the first time that you got high was with Cheech and Chong? Like, come on, like, ask them. I'm like, that's not, when you're the radio host or whatever, that's not what if they invite me, then I would consider it, but I'm not going and saying to the celebrity, hey, do you want to smoke up? Hey, do you want to do some weed after your show, you guys? Like, no, that's just not what you do. Tommy gave me his phone number after we did our radio segment and said to be in touch, but that's not what I'm going to do at midnight after his show. Hey, so anyway, we're going to replay that segment with Tommy Chong next week in honor of our episode number 420. So I hope you'll tune in for that, because it's fascinating, the whole world of marijuana. I don't judge people for doing it, but I'm intrigued because it really is a culture. So we're going to play that clip with Tommy Chong on the Scribble next week. Stay tuned for that. Feel free to give me a shout anytime. Always awesome hearing from you. My email address is live@jbonair.com. My name is Jeremy Bradley. This is The Scribble. I will talk to you next week. Bye-bye for now.
Want more Scribble? Check out thescribbleshow.com for past shows, celebrity interviews, cheapskate tips, and more. That's at thescribbleshow.com and on Twitter at The Scribble Show. The Scribble is a speak-free media presentation.
If you want some